Welcome to this week's edition of the Grain Gauntlet. I've got Hedge Plus owner Patrick Hayes here. We got 5 questions from clients and prospects. We got things heating up again with Iran, has crude oil up again, and it looks like we're back to getting some premium there. And prices are climbing steadily higher in the grain market. So lots of questions related to that, and also some about acres. So if Patrick is ready, we'll get going.
I'm ready.
All right. First question says, sounds like a lot of acres are getting switched away from corn. What does that mean for the market?
Okay, I saw a report where 17% of net farmers have changed their mind on acres. But what does that mean is a good question. Is that a 17% changed 10% of what they are planting in corn to something else? Does that equal 1/100th of a change, or a 10th of a change in acres, or 1% change? We don't know, because the surveys that we're seeing and stuff we're seeing is just talking about the percentage of farmers that have changed their mind from what? And was that part of the survey? We don't know. So I do believe that it's going to be more difficult to plant corn with soybean prices where they are, with fertilizer costs where they are, with everything in the world where it's set right now, that will probably lose some acres. But I don't expect that to be an influence until June 30th when we get that acres report. We could very well get up to a great start with this crop and put some pressure on prices short term. Although with the war and everything else, I don't see us going down a whole lot. So bottom line is, it could have a huge effect, but not till June 30th.
Okay. All right. Well, the natural follow-up is, what would that mean for soybeans if there is a big acreage shift?
Big acreage shift would mean probably more soybean acres to be planted. And by that time, we would know what Trump and Z have come up with, because they're supposed to meet twice coming up, once in May, I believe. We'll know if we have resolution with the war. We'll know how long the effects will last from that war, because now we're at the point where the Iranian war, we're not going to solve things in a day as far as getting stuff moving. We haven't moved anything much for 7 weeks, 8 weeks now. It's going to take time to refill the coffers, as they say. So we're going to have an effect. Is that effect going to affect world economies? Are we going to slow down for a short period of time, with people spending more money on energy, with farmers spending tons more money on fertilizer, diesel, everything that they're putting into the ground? So I would suspect that we'll have more bean acres, and that will be bearish. However, that could be offset by good Chinese demand.
Okay. All right. This question says, I'm still sitting on about half of last year's corn. Is it time to let some more go?
Wow. I don't know. I can't answer that question for you, because I don't know where you sold your first half. I don't know what your risk tolerance is. I don't know what you're looking for. In order to give a really good recommendation to somebody, knowing where they are with things helps a lot. How do you measure risk for this farmer who's got 50% of his crop left? If he sold, say, half his stuff at an average futures price of $4.90, it's a lot different than if he sold half his price at $4, right? So knowing the risk would be very helpful for me. So I can't give you a great answer. However, we're running out of time. We're at 75% sold. I would move half of it right now and hope that we do get the rally that looks like could happen, and that we get a better price on the other half. We're waiting right now. I don't see any signs of a significant move lower. So with that said, I'm hopeful that the funds keep buying and push this thing up, at least retest highs, and that's when we'll look at selling some corn.
All right, good. This one says, even if Iran gives in to Trump today, hasn't enough lasting damage been done to keep food prices elevated through this year?
Yes, that's what I was talking about before.
Yep.
We're about 8 weeks behind where we haven't moved anything. We have shut down stuff. Okay, it takes a while to re-kick it going. inflation doesn't go away overnight. Once we get the crude, then we'll start to see things reverse. But we're using high-priced crude for a while now,
Yeah.
and that's just going to take a while to run through. I'm very concerned that we'll start to lower prices, but the world will have already set back into recession. I don't know if the U.S. will. We seem to have really strong consumer buying, and it doesn't seem to be stopping the U.S. So I'm keeping my pinkies crossed that our economy stays strong, that we can wait out this higher inflation era, because once we get through this, crude prices will fall dramatically. I do believe energy as a whole and inflation will come down in the U.S. for sure.
Yeah, this morning I saw like a European EU energy minister say that the damage is already done, that the energy costs there are, the scenarios are bad to horrific. I mean, and then he's talking years. So what that's going to obviously do is that's going to look, they have countries looking more towards alternative fuel, biodiesel, ethanol. The demand there is just going to be really strong for a while. Maybe it won't be quite as much in the United States because we have, so much oil of our own. But yeah, the demand for alternative energies is just going to be spiked for at least this year and probably longer.
Yeah, people are going to be hurt. Think about it as a farmer. Okay, you're buying nitrogen now. You're paying this ridiculously high price. Do you want inflation on food to come down? You'll be broke. Okay, you put the input costs in at a high level, and now prices come down for what you receive. You're hurt. So there's always this delayed reaction in the economy, and if farmers are hurt, they're not going to produce as much. Now, next year, we're going to have high prices again because we're going to switch from corn to something else because farmers just can't afford it. We always have that delayed effect. So I think it's going to take quite a while to get over this.
Okay, good. Last question. This one's from a prospect. How close are you to making your next soybean sale recommendation? Is this war with Iran holding you back?
The war really doesn't affect beans all that much. I'm watching major weather for soybeans for one thing. When we have El Nino forming, we have dryness in Indonesia. Indonesia is a major producer of palm oil compared to the bean oil. We have seen when dryness hits Indonesia, strong rallies in soybeans because it's led by bean oil. This looks like a super El Nino forming. If that's the case, they could be really, really, really dry and really affect the palm oil. That's a major concern for me. It's not here yet, but it's a major concern. I think Xi and Trump are much more important than the Iranian war. As long as the U.S. and China don't start fighting over who's supporting who in it, if we start seeing missiles being sent from China to Iran and the U.S. finds out about that, now we have an issue with Trump and Xi again. That is the biggest thing this war can do right now. Everybody's kind of trying to ignore that because both countries need each other right now. As long as that's the case, that's gonna trump everything in Iran. I'm not concerned about the war for soybeans. It's more for fertilizer costs and grains.
Yeah, it's seeing a lot of the same pattern with China and the U.S. as it relates to Iran, as we saw with Russia and Ukraine. Trump kind of looked the other way on a lot of things that was going on with Russia. And then it looks like that's probably what he's going to do with China, because we need this trade deal badly. They do too. So it's almost like both sides are kind of ignoring that they're, almost fighting against each other in Iran for the sake of keeping the trade deal alive. So I think we're going to see that, go forward as well. I think it's pretty obvious that China's helping Iran. And, it hasn't really derailed the trade talks. And the dates on that, I think, is May 14th and 15th. It's when Trump will be in Beijing. And as of right now, everything's still on track. So, yep.
Yeah. And it's not that we just have had Iran being helped by China. The U.S. is hurting China by attacking Iran, too. And this war and the inflation that energy costs make this deal even more imperative for both sides. Farmers need to get a better price, right? We need to have great demand so we can pay for that fertilizer cost. China also needs to get its economy roaring again. You can't do it with higher energy costs with no deal from the U.S. So both countries are kind of under pressure to look the other way, make sure this deal gets done, because without the deal, both countries are in trouble.
All right, good. Well, this sounds good. Thank you for the questions, everyone. Thank you for the great answers. Lots of things up in the air right now, many things to watch. At least it's an interesting market.
For sure, and we're just getting into summer. Oh, baby.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you again next week.